Hey, it's Emil from Mindful Movement Coaching. In today's video, I want to present on some advanced techniques that you could be applying to your TRX or suspension trainer exercises to help give you just that little bit of extra burn you may be looking for in your workout. All right, so stay tuned. I got 4 techniques that can help progress your TRX exercises. All right, so I'm going to start off with the first technique. This is one that bodybuilders have been doing for a while, so it's nothing new, but the idea of it being new is applying it to the TRX or a suspension trainer if you're not already doing this. So what I'm referencing is called finishing repetitions or finishing reps. Here's the example. You may be prescribed to do, say, 3 sets of 10 to 12 repetitions of a given exercise. In each set, you're going to do your 10 reps or 12 reps. And then at the end of that set, you'll do an additional 5 to 6 reps at one of your end ranges of motion in that movement. It could be the end range, which we call the distal range of motion, or it could be the closer range of motion of the movement. Say if I'm doing a biceps curl, and I'd call that the proximal range of motion. So let me give you an example on the TRX. So let's say for example, I've done 10 repetitions of a bicep curl. Here's 8, 9, and 10. I can opt to do 5 to 6 finishing reps at a distal range of motion, end range of motion, or I could do 5 to 6 reps at a proximal end range of motion. I would not do both. I would only pick one and then just periodically throw that in, maybe every other workout. Caution. Don't overdo it. You got to pay attention to the joints and articulations. Also, footnote, depending upon the exercise, not all ranges of motions may work well. So for example, triceps press, finishing out my triceps press. Now I'm going to do a couple of reps at that end range of motion, but I'm going to tend to avoid this proximal end range of motion, or what I reference proximal range of motion at the end there. The tricep is a mechanical disadvantage. There's the potential to create some unnecessary wear and tear in the elbow joint. So that's the first technique. Stay tuned for the rest. Okay, so your next technique that you can apply with your TRX, and quite frankly, you may already be doing this, so this is a great reminder for you. But we reference time under tension at times when we're looking to challenge the muscle. So what I mean by that, the longer we keep tension on the muscle throughout a movement, the more work the muscle needs to be doing. This works especially well with a suspension trainer. In this case, you can do slower repetitions. So if I'm doing a chest press, I might do about 5 seconds on the eccentric phase, and then I'll do a 3-second on the concentric phase. That was probably more like 2. So again, here I'm going slower on my eccentric versus my concentric, okay? Let's just quick hit some verbiage right there. Eccentric is when the muscle lengthens and has to produce force to decelerate or slow down the action. Concentric is when the muscle shortens and produces force and movement in a shortening sequence. So in the next technique I'll be showing you, which we call negatives, we're going to talk more about doing eccentrics at a slow pace. There you go. That's one technique that you can apply to any of the exercises you may be doing with your TRX. Okay, your next technique that you could be applying on the TRX or a suspension trainer for that matter are what we call negatives. So I just presented on the time under tension concept. And the idea of doing negatives is really the same. It just maybe you'll go a little longer or slower with those negatives. And there is one other alteration or difference when you're performing negatives. I'm going to do this with a chest press to give you an example. So, as in the previous or first example, I talked about doing finishing reps. So you're at the end of your prescribed set. So I just did 10 repetitions of a chest press. So I'm going to incorporate negatives now. I'm going to stop or finish at my 10th rep, and I'm going to do a negative where I'm going to slow the descent, maintaining good form, good technique. And then when I'm done here, I'm going to use a leg to give me some assistance because I don't want my muscles to have to do a concentric action, okay? And then I'm going to repeat. Just like finishing reps in a sense, you'll do about 5 to 6 of these. but don't do a concentric action at the muscle. If you're not familiar with how to do that on a row, I'll give you a brief little demonstration, and that's where you would descend slowly. And I'm gonna take a leg, and I'm gonna use that back leg to give me some assistance so my arms, again, do not have to perform the concentric action. Okay, so here we are with the final concept or technique that you could be applying to the TRX to progress your exercises. And this is where we're gonna talk about your base of support or your stance. So when you start off with TRX, if you're new, if you have a wide base of support, you've got a good amount of stability. If we go ahead, we can progress the exercises by narrowing our base of support, and now we have a decreased sense of stability. There's gonna be more rotational challenges during the exercises. The other way we can create a challenge with our base of support, and I'll show from a different angle here, but I'm gonna do a row. And if you can see, there's some technique that is involved in this, but this is a good way to also add some variety to your program. So holding a leg out to the side. So you have to work now your hip abductors, your core muscles have to work, your postural stabilizers are gonna work because you're needing to resist rotation, but also you have to create a bit of an alteration in how you pull on the TRX so that you don't pull yourself into rotation. So hopefully those techniques give you some ideas on how you can progress the TRX or your suspension trainer exercises. If you have any questions, shoot me an email at emil@mindmovecoach.com. Good luck.